Good evening, Biafrans all over the world. Good evening to our lovers of freedom globally. We want to welcome you to this wonderful program today, 30th of May 2026. And we'll be having the head of Directorate of State, Mazi Chika Edoziem, shortly, who'll be addressing Biafrans all over the world. And I hope that as we are joining in, we share the program, tag your friends, and make sure that everybody is heard. We want to welcome Mazi Chika Edoziem on board, and we'll be able to give him the free way to proceed with the broadcast. This is Biafra Television Europe, and my name is Ikem Patrick DK. I want to say welcome to BTV live program. Uh, Mazi Chika Edoziem, can you please come forward?
Yes, thank you so very much, Mazi Patrick Ikem, and all the crew of the Biafra Television Europe. Fellow Biafrans, my indefatigable comrades in the IPOB global family, lovers of freedom, men and women of goodwill, and friends. Good morning, good evening, and good night to you all, depending on your time zone, respectively. My name is Mazi Chika Edoziem. I come from Ihe Oma. Ihe Oma is in Olo province of Biafra land. And by the grace of Chukwu Okike, I serve the indigenous people of Biafra in the Directorate of State as the head of directorate. I welcome all of you to this very program. This broadcast today, 30th day of May, being an Alpha day in the year 2026. This will have been a morning broadcast today, but I had to be in Geneva where I joined the IPOB family in Switzerland to honor our heroes and our heroines. We have today, the 30th of May 2026, once again giving honor and respect to whom honor and respect are due by observing a solemn day of remembrance of our heroes and our heroines. We observe this yearly ritual so that we do not forget those brave men and women who refused to be subjugated and enslaved in their own land. We observe this Biafran National Day to ensure that our history is not distorted, and also to inculcate in the minds of our children and generations unborn not to be ashamed of their ancestry, but rather to take great pride in the bravery of their forebears. The Directorate of State of the Indigenous People of Biafra express our profound gratitude to our ancestors, to the gods of our land, and to Almighty Chukwu Okike for guiding and illuminating our path on our march to the freedom of our people and of our land. Today, the Biafran people at home and in the diaspora remember, honor, and celebrate our brave heroes and our brave heroines, men, women, and youths of all ages who sacrificed their lives for our freedom. Men and women who rejected to be enslaved in their ancestral land, but chose rather to fight to protect our values and our heritage. It is therefore to Chukwu Abiyama that we ascribe all glory for impressing upon the hearts and minds of Biafrans, friends of Biafrans, lovers of freedom, not to neglect this very key aspect of our history, as well as a key facet of the processes we have instituted towards the freedom of our land, in that we acknowledge, recognize, appreciate the great sacrifices made by these Biafran gallant heroes and heroines, beginning from Jaws in 1945 to the present 2026. Today, we remember the heroes and heroines of the Igbo landing, men and women who, even in a far away land, resisted subjugation in its worst form by exhibiting the unassailable love for freedom and justice natural to the Biafran man and woman. They showed the coming generations the way, and they followed their path. We remember the Ekumeku warriors who fought decades-long war against British imperialists for the freedom of our land. We remember the brave Biafran soldiers, men and women who held off a combination of foreign and Nigerian armada of invading enemies on empty stomachs and with very few guns and bullets. Today, we remember our brothers and sisters, uncles, fathers and mothers, our grandfathers and our grandmothers, and the children massacred in Asaba by the Nigerian armed forces, civilians who were mowed down with machine guns and buried in mass graves. We remember the victims of the Enugu coal mine massacre by the British colonial criminals who resisted the colonialists' servile policies against them. We remember the victims of the Aba High School massacre, men and women and youths who gathered in 2016 to pray for the release of their leader, Mazi Chika, and they were cut down at their prime in cold blood, thereby extinguishing their dreams and aspirations. We remember the victims of Emene, Igwocha, Obiigbo, Onitsha, Olo, Odi, Mpo massacres. We remember the victims of Osi Hitukwa, Awo Idemmili, Azia Osumenyi, Ihiala, Okigwili, Uli, Iseke, Ekotutu, and surrounding communities who were victims of criminal kidnappers masquerading as Biafran freedom agitators. We remember our men, our women, and our youths massacred and decapitated in their farms by the Fulani jihadists and Fulani terrorists masquerading as headsmen. We remember our youths who were massacred by the Boko Haram terrorists recruited into the Nigerian army and who were sent down to Biafra land to annihilate us in our towns and cities, while at the same time protecting the Fulani terror headsmen who are in our forests and in our bushes, targeting our means of livelihood and our women who dare to go to the farm to cultivate. We remember the victims of the Atlantic and Sahara Desert slave trade, those that died in slave chains those that died under the brutality and inhuman treatment of the British, American, and European slave owners. We remember the victims of the 1945 Jaws program, the 1953 Kano riots, and all other massacres for the simple reason that they were forced to be part of a contraption that was created for the benefit of the colonialists. We remember all those who have contributed genuinely and positively to the freedom of the Biafran people who are currently in prison. Mazi Kanu and every other Biafran incarcerated by the Nigerian government, as well as those that we cannot account for. We remember above all, the brave and gallant men and women of the Eastern Security Network who fell in the line of duty while ensuring that the forests and farmlands of Biafra land are safe for our people to engage in their farming activities. As we remember these victims today, we also honor, we acknowledge those who did not simply stood by and watched at the evil machinations of the invaders of our ancestral state to pillage, dispossess, and exterminate our people. We honor these brave heroes. We honor these brave heroines in our history, starting with the pace setters, our evil landing progenitors, the Ekumeku warriors who fought decades-long war against the British imperialists, our eternal leader, General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, with his brave soldiers who fought, defended, and preserved our race and our values from total annihilation. We honor the women behind the Aba women riots who rose against the British criminal taskmasters. We honor the operatives of the Eastern Security Network. These and many more like them are the symbols of our resistance to the British and Nigerian government orchestrated genocide and war of attrition and extermination against the Biafran people. They are our eternal heroes and heroines, and we shall never forget the sacrifices they made and the ultimate price they paid for us who are alive today. We must not and never for a moment lose sight of our history. We must never allow any man or woman cajole us into abandoning our struggle for freedom, or forgetting those who have played some compromising role in the past and present subjugation of our people, because this very generation of the indigenous people of Biafra has a duty, divine duty for that matter, to repair the broken walls so that the dignity, honor, and heritage of our people are restored. We must never forget that on the 22nd of June 1945, the massacre of Biafrans commenced in Jos, resulting in the murder of thousands of Biafrans by the people of northern Nigeria, which include but not exclusive of the House of Fulani, while hundreds of thousands of pounds sterling worth of Biafran people's property at that time were either looted or destroyed. We must not forget that this very evil happened while the British were in charge. Nobody was held accountable. Nobody was arrested. And none was prosecuted by the British colonial government. As a matter of fact, the British refused to institute an inquiry into the bestial and gruesome murder of a section of the populace and wanton destruction of their properties and means of livelihood because the killing served their evil interest to either completely annihilate us or reduce us to a race of slaves. Fast forward to Kano 1953. Thousands more Biafran, their families, and properties were again targets of ethnic cleansing under the same supervision of the British overlords. From 1954 to October 1966, more than 30,000 Biafrans were murdered in northern Nigeria. And between October 1966 and June 1967, more than 300,000 more were exterminated. In a most brutish and gruesome manner, pregnant women were killed. Their unborn babies who were pulled out of their wombs received a most gruesome and barbaric end. Other victims had their eyes gouged, arms and limbs amputated, heads chopped off and sent down to us in Biafra land by train. It was a most graphic, barbaric, and horrific animalistic tendency ever exhibited in modern Africa. These were ferocious and horrifying crimes against humanity in an indescribable scale. Bear in mind, great Biafrans, bear in mind that all these killings were done in peacetime, without provocation, and with incontrovertible evidence of complicity and involvement on the part of local and national authority at the time, be it the colonial British government or the Nigerian puppet government. Then from July 6, 1967 upwards until January 15, 1970, a large-scale program of total annihilation, total extermination of the indigenous people of Biafra, termed the final solution. They called it the final solution to the Biafran problem. More than 5 million Biafrans, 5 million representing close to 25% of the total population of the Biafran people at that time, were exterminated in a most inhuman and ghastly manner by the Nigerian government, fully backed. Please take note, fully backed, supported, militarily equipped by the British, during which more than 3 million civilians, especially women and children, died from starvation because of the British government's supervised air, land, and sea blockade of the Biafran territory. The killings have continued unabated from 1970 to the present, resulting in additional death of millions more of the indigenous people of Biafra. These victims of the pogroms in the northern Nigeria, victims of the Biafran genocide, and those murdered in cold blood for exercising their inalienable right to self-determination by the trigger-happy Nigerian security forces, these are our heroes. They are our heroines. They paid the ultimate price for our collective dignity and freedom. And it is in their honor and others like them that we observe today and shall observe till the end of time. 30th May of each year as a day to remember, acknowledge, honor, reminisce, and appreciate the sacrifices they made for our sake. I have deliberately and consciously reminded all of you listening to me this very morning, evening, or night, depending on your location. I have deliberately reminded you of this very horrendous history of the crimes committed against us as a people. I have also brought to your attention those who participated in those crimes and challenge you, therefore, to juxtapose that history with the present so that you may see without a doubt that the agenda has neither changed nor the actors and the perpetrators. I have been very deliberate in enumerating these historical crimes and cruelty against the Biafran people, not to arouse in you any form of hatred against our traditions, but to remind you of what great and brave ancestry you have as a Biafran. Most importantly, I have enumerated these historical events to inculcate in you the complete understanding that our turbulent past is intertwined with our great future, and a sovereign, independent, and free Biafran nation is our only sole hope and the medium through which we can actualize the inherent greatness in the Biafran person and the Biafran child. The Biafran people are not oblivious of the existence of a policy of the Nigerian establishment tailored exclusively towards achieving both the political, cultural, and economic emasculation and annihilation of the Biafran people, as well as to ethnically cleanse Biafrans from our ancestral home so that they can take over these ancestral homeland, take over our resources that Chukwu Abiyama blessed our land with, and make us subhumans. As a result of this conspiracy, the indigenous people of Biafra have suffered untold hardship. We have suffered threat to our culture and our tradition. We have suffered assault on our value system and a near complete waste of our environment. It was this aspiration, this desire to ethnically remove Biafrans from our homeland, a place wherein we have inhabited, and developed the first civilization known to man. It was this aspiration that culminated into a war of annihilation and attrition imposed upon the Biafran people by the Nigerian government in collaboration with the British government and their allies. Although we are yet to have that freedom for which they died for, remembering and honoring their sacrifice constantly reminds us of the obligation we owe them, of our duty, our responsibility, never to relent until total freedom and liberty for which they died are achieved. The silence of the international community on the Biafran genocide, especially those Western nations whom we had believed and hoped that the suffering of our people, the constant spilling of the blood of our people in the streets of Biafra and of Nigeria, the constant violation of the rights of the indigenous people of Biafra by the Nigerian government, past and present, through the instrumentality of its security apparatus. We had hoped that these atrocities will move them to action, but they rather have shown a deliberate acquiescence to these crimes against humanity meted against the indigenous people of Biafra. The Nigerian government has taken a cue, emboldened by the lack of will and lack of interest on the part of the international community to be alive to its responsibility. They rightly assume, therefore, that they are at liberty to continue with the annihilation of the Biafran nation and the Biafran people. The Nigerian authorities, they have turned our land into a war zone, but without the official declaration of war, as military and police checkpoints dot the nooks and crannies of Biafra land, our villages, our towns, and our cities. The indigenous people of Biafra believe that humanity could do better than they have done on the issue of Biafra and its people. It was our belief in universal justice that compelled the Directorate of State of the Indigenous People of Biafra to write, to communicate to many national governments of the world, to communicate to multilateral institutions, to communicate to human rights organizations. We demonstrated peacefully across cities and capitals of the world. We pleaded, we cried to those who claim to be world defenders of democracy and human rights. But Biafrans, it is now very clear to us that defending the human rights of Biafrans will not serve the agenda of these imperialists. Therefore, we must understand that our destiny as Biafrans is now squarely in our own hands. And with the gods of our land, Chukwu Abiyama, and our ancestors directing our hands and guiding our feet on the path to total freedom and liberation, we shall and we must be victorious, because the alternative is unimaginable. In accordance with its responsibility and in pursuance of its stated aims and objectives, and in the exercise of its universal, recognized and guaranteed right to self-determination, the Directorate of State of the Indigenous People of Biafra request and urge every genuine and hardcore IPOB family member worldwide to tighten their belt for the final push across the finishing line of our fight for liberation. We must learn something from the liberation movement of the early 20th century. We must be aware that the modus operandi of the imperialists and neo-imperialists is to create enemies within every genuine liberation movement and attempt to destroy the liberation movement from within. They will create saboteurs whose singular job it is to distract, derail every genuine liberation movement such as IPOB. We must therefore be on the lookout for these agents of the West working solely for their selfish interests and that of their paymasters. When we identify these modes in our midst, we must be very firm and weed them out of our movement. The Nigerian government is spending humongous amount of dollars just to destroy the IPOB and its leadership in order for them to perpetually subjugate our race to eternal slavery. This is why we have seen from 2012 to the present not less than 5 different agents in the form of Biafra government in exile, which are set up by Western intelligence agencies such as the MI6 and the CIA, etc. IPOB, we will no longer ignore any clear, any verifiable act of sabotage from politicians of Biafra origin who speak from both sides of their mouth. Despite the genocide committed against us in the past, notwithstanding the past and current economic emasculation policies of the Nigerian state through seizure and destruction of our properties and means of livelihood, and in spite of state-orchestrated acts of terror and violence, constant and continuous disappearances and extrajudicial murders of the Biafran people, this generation of Biafrans, we have remained focused and unwavering in the quest for our ultimate objective, as did our heroes and our heroines, whom we are remembering and honoring today by exhibiting an uncanny determination to sacrifice limb and pleasure for the joy of living a free people in our ancestral homeland. Our burning desire to be free, that love for and of liberty, is natural or intrinsic in our nature. This attribute is this attribute in part explains our agitation to exercise our fundamental right to self-determination as recognized and guaranteed under the United Nations and AU systems. Great Biafrans, it is our utmost desires, it is our well-considered intention to ensure that May 30th of each year is etched permanently into our consciousness. This date and day are crucial, part of our history, which we must not allow anyone whatsoever to disrespect. It is part of our culture. May 30th of every year should be a rallying point for the Biafran people, because a people who trample upon the sacrifices of their ancestors will invariably create a stumbling block for the clearest manifestation of their greatness. We ask you, therefore, Biafrans, both supporters and non-supporters, to look beyond the IPOB freedom movement, look beyond the fact that IPOB is at the forefront of this sensitization for May 30th to remain permanently part of our history, and teach your children, teach our children the significance of 30th May Heroes and Heroines Remembrance Day because the significance is enormous and is important that they do not, at least that they learn from their parents who they are. The Directorate of State we informed, as we have been doing, all the state governors in Biafra land at least a month in advance, even though we know that they are well aware of this hallowed date and how important it is to us as a people. We informed educational institutions, traditional custodians, church leaders, town unions leaders, market leaders, transport owners and transport workers association. We informed the Ohanese, etc., officially weeks ahead of the May 30th Remembrance Day celebration. Despite our conscious effort to accord respect and involve all stakeholders in this very important date in our life as a people, some people will attempt to oppose this event just for the sake of opposition. We expect, therefore, the political leadership in Biafra land to take the initiative and codify this date as a public holiday in our land and all the states of Biafra land. I was reading a response from the Nigerian military, a response that emanated from the directive given by Masov to churches in Biafra land, requesting them to do a memorial service on Sunday during their church program tomorrow in the memory of what we have done today, in memory and in honor of these brave men and women. And the Nigerian military, they found their voice, as always is the case. And they are teaching us that we are not entitled to remember our dead. In fact, they are telling those Biafrans who are Christians what they will have to, how they will organize or how they will carry on with their church services, what they can say during their mass and what they should not say. You know, these people sometimes they forget themselves and they expose themselves. This is what we have been saying for some time now, that there is an agenda to totally Islamize the contraption called the Zoological Republic of Nigeria. And people will not understand. People will think we don't know what we are saying. But it is a gradual process. This process started in 1982. And Babangida was then at the helm of affairs. Many of you can remember OIC. They have an agenda. They have a program which they are taking step one after the other to accomplish and implement. And there is, I don't know what concerns the military with how churches, what they will do in their churches. It baffles me, honestly. But I am saying this for us to know it's no longer hidden, and the time is running out against them. They are in a haste. They are in a very great hurry to see if they can accomplish this very agenda within the shortest period of time. But thank Chukwu Okike for the indigenous people of Biafra. Thank Chukwu Abiyama that IPOB is here, because we have come and we have come. That very call to rescue the land of Biafra, that very mandate to ensure that our land is not overrun by jihadists, we are here to ensure that all their plans will not come to pass. The Directorate of State of the Indigenous People of Biafra, the DOS, having reviewed the crimes committed against our people in Osuitukwa, our Idemili, Asia, Osumeni, Ihiala, Okigwe, Lilu, Uli, Iseke, Ekotutu, etc., and the surrounding communities, where criminal kidnappers masquerading as Biafra freedom agitators and killer squad imported from the riverine areas committed all manner of heinous and despicable crimes against our land and our people in these communities. It has become very exigent and of utmost necessity for the leadership of the indigenous people of Biafra to state without equivocation and in all conscientiousness that the Eastern Security Network was neither involved nor privy to all the crimes and atrocities and barbarism levied on the people in these communities. Because all these crimes committed in these localities were completely antithetical to our stated mission statement. And they are contrary to our fundamental objectives. It is therefore in the spirit of our May 30th Remembrance Day that the IPOB leadership mourned the death of every individual who fell victim to the criminals whose singular objective was to tarnish the image of the IPOB movement and destroy the hard-earned good reputation of the Eastern Security Network, the only security outfit that has been responsible for the peace and quietness that the Biafran people in this part of the world are enjoying. They intend to tarnish the image of this outfit with the hope that our people will turn against the only outfit that can guarantee their safety and the safety of our land. The pertinent question that our people must ask is this: why these communities? Why these communities that I have mentioned? And some of them I didn't mention, but these places where this horrendous barbarism took place. Why these communities? Is the ESN, the Eastern Security Network, not in every community in Biafra land? Why is there no such crimes in other communities where ESN are stationed? Question that I am posing to those who malign this very outfit, those who maybe ignorantly or with clear eyes, they have made themselves a willing tool in the hand of the establishment to destroy IPOB. And I can assure you great Biafrans listening to me wherever you may be, and friends of Biafra, I can assure you, if in your stupidity, those who are making themselves willing tools, if in your stupidity, pardon my word, but that is the only word I can find to use at this very key time. If in your stupidity and in your imagination, the Nigerian government have their way with the plans they have for you and for ESN IPOB, I can assure you, it won't take 5 years. You will be People will be pleading, where is ESN, where is IPOB? But we will not let it get to that situation. We shall not allow those who are working against the freedom of our people to have the upper hand. The crimes committed in these communities, they are abominations to our land. Any person who says or who claims to be a son of Biafra land must know that such crime, kidnapping and cannibalism and whatever that came with it, rape and the rest of it, these are abominations in our land. In the days gone by, those who those who may even contemplate this, they have invariably closed their family line from being part of the society. The IPOB leadership is fully aware that if we deliberately, we know that if we spill so much as spill the blood of a single innocent Biafran, we must have defeated the purpose of our agitation for freedom. And we will never allow the Eastern Security Network, because we know why we set them up. We would never allow them to be used. And that was why at the earliest stage, we came out publicly, voraciously, and vocally. We said these are crimes being committed by those who have an agenda. But we know Nigeria, because they are like bulldogs, that they have put their teeth in the flesh, and they cannot let go until until they pull the flesh out. Their media, they were all over the place. Every crime, both the ones that bandits will commit, Fulani herdsmen will commit, Fulani jihadists will commit, they will tell you it's IPOB. They will tell you it's ESN. And I ask you again, why? Why the focus on ESN? Why the focus on IPOB? We are not actually here to blow our trumpet, but I can assure you that generations unborn will attest to the bravery of the men of the operatives of the Eastern Security Network at the appropriate time. That is also why we are today commending many of them who fell in the line of duty. I remember one very young man when he was shot. He was on his dying bed and he told the comrades around him, he said, please, don't stop. Even if I die today, don't give up until we get to our destination. And what is our destination? Our destination is a free, independent, and sovereign Biafran nation that will take its right place among the comity of nations. Now, being aware that we cannot spill the blood of a Biafran, an innocent Biafran in our land, the DOS therefore request, taking into account the effect of the crime that had been committed using this very hallowed movement's name, or using the freedom of Biafra as a smokescreen. The DOS therefore request the elders of these communities. We are making a request. We are not ordering anybody, but I'm sure they understand. If they abunafa abunwa for a pardon my use of Igbo here, I'm sure people should forward this message to them. If they understand what has been done in those communities, one, and we have done our soul searching, and we know that anything that will be a hindrance, a stumbling block to the freedom of our people, we must physically and unequivocally take it out of the way. It is in this regard that we request the elders of these communities to reach out to the leadership of the indigenous people of Biafra, so that together we shall carry out proper cleansing of the land in these communities in accordance with our tradition. Because alo melodia, nnukwu alo, and these people that Nigerian government brought in, some of them, Imo state government is complicit in this as well. Famelu nnukwu alo na our land. And we can only deal with this according to the laws of the land. We need to cleanse these communities. We make this request in good faith and with all sense of responsibility and duty, so that these crimes committed by these merchants of lead in the name of Biafra agitation shall not be a hindrance to the freedom of our land and of our people. We make this request also in order to ensure our ancestors and the gods of our land and those whom we are honoring today, those who died for our freedom, those whom we are remembering today. We want to assure them that the IPOB movement and its leadership, the DOS, was never involved and will never be involved in such evil acts committed in these communities or in any other community for that matter in Biafra land. We have been mandated to liberate our land and our people from subjugation and not to terrorize or turn our instrument of self-defense against them. Great Biafrans, you may recollect, pay very attention, please, to this message that I'm about to give you this very hour, especially IPOB family members. You may recollect that last year, at every forum I had the opportunity to address you, I informed you that the year 2026 will be a very challenging year for our movement. I informed you that many forces will align to attempt to derail and stop our march to freedom. The global IPOB family will attest to the fact that presently we are going through a very difficult moment in the history of our movement. I want to intimate the global family, therefore, Biafrans and friends of Biafra today being the 30th of May 2026, a very significant day in our history as a people, that our commitment to our mission, our dedication and devotion to our fundamental objectives is through the challenges facing us today being forged and purified in the fire of truth and moral compass. We must, without exception, remain unwavering to the core tenets of our mission. The freedom of the Biafran people has been forged in sweat. The foundation of our liberty has been laid in blood of our ancestors and comrades. We must therefore never contemplate to abandon the philosophical and ideological principles upon which the groundwork of this movement was laid to be compromised or tainted in any manner whatsoever, because that is the foundation built on truth and moral equity, which the new nation of Biafra will be built in order to create a shelter for all Biafrans. The DOS wish to use this important day to urge those of you working assiduously, albeit from different directions, those of you working tenaciously, albeit from different angles, for the physical, for the mental, for the spiritual liberation of our people, never ever to relent or be discouraged. We want to assure you that at the appropriate time and place, we shall converge in unity, we shall converge in strength, we shall converge in oneness of objective to restore the lost glory, dignity, and heritage and values of our people and our land. Finally, we urge the indigenous people of Biafra global family to remain resolute in our fight for the liberation and pursuit of freedom. We urge them to maintain the discipline for which the world has now come to associate IPOB with. We urge you all to remain firm in our conviction of the justness of our cause. We urge you to reject every form of irritation and distraction from urgent provocateurs and focus exclusively on our mission, which is the restoration of the sovereign and independent nation of Biafra. As that is the only way the souls of millions of our dead heroes and heroines will have rest and be accorded the honor that is due to them. I wish to put all members of the IPOB global family on notice that in consonance with our mission, starting from next month, June, and upwards, the Directorate of State will begin to inform you of the steps we will be taking to position our movement as an institution-driven and structured organization. With these strong institutional pedestals, the movement will be equipped with the prerequisite capacity to build the coming Biafran nation into a culturally alive, socially responsible, morally sound, and a wealth creating and equitable sovereign nation. Those who cannot keep up with the standard which we have set for ourselves or involve themselves in any criminality or acts which repudiate our moral code of conduct, these sort of people will definitely be shown the door and the way out. To this end, we therefore today, 30th of May 2026, we reaffirm our inalienable right as the indigenous people of Biafra to exclusively determine our cultural, our economic, our social, and our political systems, as well as our right to self-determination as indigenous people, as proclaimed in and guaranteed by the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous Peoples to Self-Determination, as well as Articles 5, 6, 7, and 12 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, as rectified and domesticated. That is, he has become part of the Nigerian law in 1983. Comrades, Biafrans, friends of Biafra, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank those of you who are doing marvelously work, doing exceptionally well in your respective positions, in your respective area of responsibility. We want to thank especially Biafrans of all walk and life in Biafra land. Because the Biafran people are known for our ingenuity and the never say die spirit. We must rebrand this ingenuity that we are known for the better and for the good of our land and of our people. I want to say, may Chukwuokike Abiyama and the gods of our land and our ancestors be your help, be your strength, guide you, and imbue you with unsurpassing knowledge and wisdom as we march ahead to a new, free, sovereign, and independent Biafran nation. Long live Biafra. Long live the indigenous people of Biafra. Thank you. And from me, from here, I want to say to you, good night, and may you all be blessed. Thank you very much.
Land of the rising sun, we to